Thanks very much to Kelly Cates, because here the teams are out on the field at the Etihad. They've dimmed the house lights, they've had the laser show, but now the full illumination, both sets of players out onto the field, and we are ready for match day 5, the Champions League on the BBC. This is Sports Extra and BBC Sounds, and it's Manchester City against Bayer Leverkusen cupping up any moment now. City, who are well placed in the Champions League phase table, they were in 4th place going into this week's games. Leverkusen, who've had a very disorientating season so far. You'll remember they appointed the former Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag in the summer. That was an immediate mismatch. He only lasted 3 games. Since then, though, Leverkusen have stabilised domestically. They've won their last 3 Bundesliga games in a row, their best run of form of the campaign. Briefly at the weekend, they moved up to 2nd place, albeit a long way off Bayern Munich's lead. Since then, Leipzig have leapfrogged back again to push Leverkusen into 3rd, but certainly not the catastrophe sort of season that it looked it might have been over the summer and the early weeks of the campaign. Leverkusen's Champions League performances, which were nothing to write home about until they finally got their first win of the league phase last time, when they beat Jose Mourinho's Benfica away. Every game now seems to be some sort of milestone for Pep Guardiola. Recently his 1000th game. Tonight his 100th match in charge of City in the Champions League. Alongside me, former City midfielder Michael Brown. Team news, Michael, is interesting. We expected Pep would make changes tonight after the defeat at Newcastle, but 10 changes? Were you expecting that?
Of course I was. You know, I was maybe telling a little lie, but do you know, when we got here, we were probably saying, well, there might be a couple of changes. You get a little murmuring, don't you, when you turn up at the stadium. It was like 4 or 5 was mentioned, and then from there on, you always are surprised with Pep Guardiola. At certain times when you lose a game, you're possibly thinking, right, it's going to be a real solid performance, a reaction from the team, or very close to. That didn't get the result of the weekend, but with this amount of change, it tells you he feels like there's an opportunity to get minutes in a lot of people. The games coming into December, that can change seasons, define things. They're in a good position in the Champions League, but this is a little bit of a risk from Pep Guardiola, and he needs to make sure the bench is strong, but he's still got to get the result.
So this is our City lineup. James Trafford makes his European debut, first time he's ever played at this level. He's behind a back 4 of the returning Abdulkadir Kushinov, John Stones, who's named as captain, Nathan Ake and Rehan Ait-Nouri, who's making his first start since before the September international break. Rico Lewis will partner Nico Gonzalez in the middle of the midfield. Then it's an attacking line of 3, Oscar Bob and Savinho on the wings, either side of Tijani Reinders, with Omar Mamouche filling the central striking role, and Erling Haaland is on the bench for City. We're underway. City in their traditional sky blue shirts, white shorts, sky blue socks. They're playing from left to right as we look down, and Bayer Leverkusen in their away strip, which is all black with bright red numbers on the back, and a familiar face in goal for Leverkusen tonight, Mark Flecken, summer signing from Brentford. Also in the Leverkusen team this evening, Gerald Kwanzaa, their summer signing from Liverpool. As Stones runs back to the edge of his own penalty area, taps the ball to James Trafford, who drills it straight and true right the way down the centre of the pitch. Loic Ballet, the French defender, wins a header in there. Gonzalez does well for City, and then Savinho gets a touch of the ball and plays it out to the left hand side. City have it with Nathan Ake, whose only Premier League start was some 6 weeks ago now. 1 Premier League start this season. There's quite a few with Ait-Nouri, Kushinov, Ake, probably prominent of them. Mamouche, I guess, as well, Michael, who haven't played much game time in recent months.
Well, that's the one, isn't it? Not playing so much. And I discussed it with Kelly in the build-up, actually. Do you know when you're coming into a side and you've not played so much, you only want 3 or 4 changes. When you see this, it doesn't help you. There is a risk, there's an element of that. But we're seeing normal build-up. Mamouche just taking that central role, gives Reinders the flexibility to just join in. Savinho wide left, Bob right, and then Rico Lewis in the middle. There'll be lots of movement, lots of sort of certain play. Great work down the right from
Bob.
Great
from Oscar Bob. He kept that in play right on the chalk of the touchline, gives it short to Mamouche, back to Oscar Bob, breaks down for City on the edge of the Leverkusen penalty area. But little flash moments like that from Oscar Bob reminds you what a talent he is. City fans have got to see more of him in action this season than previous campaigns, and little twinkle toes moments where a lot of players that would have gone out of play. The Norwegian was able to keep it in. City still in possession, 0-0. Sports Extra from BBC Radio 5 Live. The Champions League live this evening. Choice of listening with Chelsea against Barcelona right now on 5 Live. Savinho weaving into a central location. Gives it back to Kushinov, just 5 yards outside the penalty area. Switches play back to the left-hand side and Aki onto Tijani Reinders. Leverkusen already digging in for what could be a long siege tonight as they defend on the edge of their own penalty area. City have it with Aki once again, midway into Leverkusen territory, and he'll give it to the left-hand side. And Rayan Nouri, who did look good in his early appearances for the club before he was struck down by injury. Kushinov has it on the right-hand side. Kushinov, who hasn't played in the Premier League since the Arsenal game back in September. He picked up an injury in that match. He's been back on the bench lately. John Stones here rolls it back to James Trafford, who's almost closed down by the hard-working Patrick Schick, the Czech international, who went charging right in on top of Trafford there, where Trafford was able to get the ball away. 0-0. Oscar Bob flips the ball infield towards Rico Lewis, comes back to Oscar Bob, bright yellow boots, tries to get away from Christian Cafani in the midfield and lays it off to Rayan Nouri. Midway inside Leverkusen territory, left-hand side of City come forward. Tijani Reinders gives the ball away with a careless pass on the edge of the penalty area, and Leverkusen will look to clear it away down the left-hand side. Michael.
Yeah, you just talk about Oscar Bob. He started the season and he was probably the one last season before that injury was, and the season before he's getting really regular minutes and he can play right across that front line. He had the trust from Pep Guardiola, wonderful attitude, great temperament was mentioned. He could play a false nine. There's a poor back pass there, allowed Manchester City to get in. You can't make mistakes like that, an easy set piece. But Mamouche again at the top of the pitch. Erling Haaland getting all the rewards. He's not played so many minutes. Can he really set the tone and make his way into that first team?
Manchester City get the first corner of the evening. Unnecessary error at the back for Leverkusen. Stones and Aki make their way forward. Tijani Reinders is going to take the corner kick. He's standing with his hands on his hips. Left-hand side of City come forward. Leverkusen have brought everyone back into the penalty area, almost everyone back into their 6-yard box here. It's incredibly congested just in front of goalkeeper Mark Flecken. Flecken, who played against City 4 times in the past for Brentford. He's never kept a clean sheet against tonight's opponents. And the Dutch goalkeeper is down there in a very Dutch orange goalkeeping outfit. And he's trying to get a little bit of space here in a very crowded area. Played in high by Tijani Reinders. Nathan Aki with a header down. Comes off the back of a defender. Rico Lewis tries to follow it in. And there should be a goal. And just off target for Nathan Aki. Deflected off. He tries to strike it for the corner angle of the 6-yard box. And we mentioned how many Leverkusen players were back inside that defensive area. Weight of numbers puts it out for a corner kick. 0-0.
Yeah, it was a good delivery right around the back post, but it was just dropping down here, there, and then Ake around it. Oscar Bob just feeds it back to him outside of that left foot. Goes to go near post corner. Good left hand save.
So City's second corner of the evening. This time played in by Savinho. John Stones jumping, can't get firm touch on it. The ball goes out of play for a third City corner in very quick succession. City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0 in the Champions League.
Great deliveries, that's what it's about. It's got to be on point all around the goalkeeper. Very congested 6-yard area.
So here comes the third corner. This one played low by Tijani Reinders. I don't think he meant that. That was poor, and Patrick Schick is able to clear the ball away. Should have done better, actually. Schick is giving it straight to Savinho. City remain on the attack. Rayan Nouri with the bright orange boots gives it to Rico Lewis on the right-hand side. Rico Lewis, who started the first 2 Premier League games this season, but he hasn't started in the league since then. City have it on the left-hand side with Tijani Reinders, another who's been left out of the starting team for recent league games. Rayan Nouri comes forward here, almost level with the edge of the penalty area that City are attacking, and Savinho will turn and roll it back to the feet of Nathan Aki. He swings play to the right-hand side. Kushinov onto Oscar Bob. Back again to Kushinov. City absolutely hogging possession here. And Leverkusen, I'm not sure if they put together more than 2 passes in these opening 6.5 minutes that we've played so far. Kushinov has it again, just inside Leverkusen territory, and he'll roll the ball back to the halfway line. And to John Stones, back to Kushinov again. City patient build-up. Stung to lose at Newcastle on Saturday, but myself and Michael were there. There was a lot of chances in that game, and another day City might have scored a few in the first half, and it might well have been a different story, Michael.
It was totally different, wasn't it? Because look at now with the approach is what City expect. They just control the possession, move it around, circulate, be patient. Opposition just dropping back into a real defensive line, but at Newcastle they just come right out, got after them end to end. It was a throwback game, very enjoyable, lots of chances, both sides, which, as we know, Pep wouldn't have liked, and obviously not getting the result at the end of it. This is very much a Pep Guardiola start.
It is still 0-0 in the Chelsea-Barcelona game, although the ball has been in the back of the net in the early stages there, but a goal ruled out by VAR. You can listen to commentary of that game right now over on our sister station 5 Live. Here on Sports Extra at the Etihad. Leverkusen in possession. Malik Tillman, once of Rangers, gives it to Alex Garcia, the former City player in the midfield. Good pass out to the left-hand side to Alex Grimaldo, the Spanish international. Tillman gets a touch again, and Leverkusen, for the first time getting a few passes, want to hold on to the ball here, so they turn and retreat, and back to Alex Garcia, who made 9 appearances in all competitions for Pep Guardiola right at the start of Guardiola's tenure as City boss. He's gone on to become a Spanish international, still only 28 years of age, Alex Garcia, and back playing against Manchester City tonight. He's in the anchor role in the midfield, gives it to the right-hand side, and as Puku turns and gives it back to Alex Garcia again, and then a very easily read crossfield ball by him against his old club was picked off by Kushanov, and City are away on counter-attack here. Kushanov's cross from the right-hand side, too high for Marmoush. Like Bade is able to rise and clear the ball away, and City nearly punishing Leverkusen for some sloppy play there. Here come the home side once again. Oscar Bob tries to play a through ball, but it's cut out by Belosian, just on the edge of the penalty area. Leverkusen get it back again. They're still in their final third, but they should have things under control here, as Bade has it inside the penalty area. Rolls it back to Mark Flecken. Reinders will run in on him, and Flecken will blast it away clear up over the halfway line. Christian Cafali tries to challenge for it, but easily beaten to the ball by Nathan Aki. Michael Brown.
Yes, you expect it when you've seen the team sheet with the attacking players that were in there. Poku going down onto that right hand side for one, can get forward, can create, and then that forward line and a little bit of support in behind, but it's alright coming and then having intent to get into forward positions, but can you defend it out? They've decided to sit and wait, and they're going to jump out and counter wherever possible, but they haven't had the ball. Now into Trafford, City just moving, waiting, but can he play over the top? A real high line, put City under a little bit of pressure. I think the ability for Mamou should be able to get into that ground that's left from that high line.
City beaten at St James's Park in the tea time game of the Premier League on Saturday. Newcastle are in Champions League action tonight. They're in the south of France taking on Marseille, and they've scored early, and the man who scored both goals against City is on the score sheet again. Harvey Barnes has given Newcastle a dream start tonight in the Champions League in Marseille. Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1. Here in Manchester, Manchester City 0 by Leverkusen 0. Possession with Ibrahim Massa on the right hand side, and then played it back into the 3-man central defensive team. And City, who are playing high up the pitch themselves with almost a flat front four at the moment, with Marmoush occupying the space on the right hand side with Lewis and Tijani Reinders in the middle and Savinho on the left. Ball is played forward by Alex Garcia once again into the centre circle. Oscar Bob tries to challenge, but he's not strong enough. Loose ball rolls out to Alex Grimaldo on the left hand side, young man who started in the Barcelona youth team. He gives it back to Belosian, up to Massa, the Moroccan international, who's played a lovely 1-2 here, into the penalty area, pulls it back, chance, shot needs to be kept low. Poku's shot was decent, but it's blocked away by a City defender, and then Ait Nouri tries to stop it going for a corner, but the ball had crossed the line. So corner to Leverkusen. That's been the most dangerous we've seen from the Bundesliga team so far.
Yeah, midfielder Massa really breaks the lines, real intensity about his play. Then he's involved, fizzing the ball across. They were queuing up, they were waiting, and that back post effort. But Ait Nouri, great position, good block. As Trafford just dives right to that right hand side, anticipation. And now a set piece, an opportunity, the support behind the goal for that counter attack.
Here comes the corner, it's an in-swinger, good whip on it, and Kushanov at the front post challenges, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. Gerald Kwanzaa, the former Liverpool player, was the closest for Leverkusen there. The corner one after the shot from Ernest Puku. Puku, who has already scored 4 goals this season for his club, but he's never scored in the Champions League. But having weathered an early storm here, Leverkusen have now just begun to start asking the first questions of their own. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0 tonight. Pep Guardiola starting with the youngest average age team that he has done in the Champions League this season. If you missed the team news earlier, 10 changes from the defeat at Newcastle on Saturday. And a lot of big names on the bench, of course, so Guardiola does have options for later. Here comes John Stones, City's captain tonight, up to the halfway line. Rico Lewis flicks it off early to Nico Gonzalez. Good acceleration from him, trying to get away from 3 players. Can't take the ball on though, and it breaks down eventually. Leverkusen are able to clear away. Balossian's ball up towards the halfway line again. Tillman controls it well, but Kushinov, who's a strong character, very sturdy, wins the ball back for Manchester City once again. Malik Tillman, who when he played for Rangers was voted the Scottish Premiership Young Player of the Year a few years back. He's still only young, 23 years of age, the United States international. Nico Gonzalez midway inside Bayer Leverkusen territory. City playing from left to right as we look down. John Stones sprays it to the near touchline to Oscar Bob. Back into a more central location now for Kushinov. Tillman tries to get close to him, so it's over to the left-hand side again and to Nathan Ake. Ake playing with his head up, looking for options, gives it short to Savinho. Now the brilliant Brazilian international gives it onto the left-hand side, and Ryan Aït-Nouri, who tries to take on Poku. Aït-Nouri, long sleeves and gloves on what is a cold night, sub-zero temperatures this evening, but it is dry in Manchester. Kushinov to Oscar Bob on the right-hand side. City really trying to stretch and make the field as wide as possible at the moment.
Yeah, they are, but you know, again, I just think if I'm the away team, I say, okay, that's fine. Keep going, we're organised, we've got to concentrate, we've got to stay in our shape. But I think City, the intensity just needs to increase a touch.
This is Rico Lewis, 10 yards outside the penalty area. City are attacking strong in the challenge, and Nico Gonzalez is able to pick up possession. He gives it to Oscar Bob on the right hand side, just outside the Leverkusen penalty area. Back to Kushinov once again. City conservative in their approach, holding onto possession, and they retreat back to the halfway line again.
Yeah, you just look at Marmoush, who's dropping down there now, so there's no threat in behind. The line's getting higher. I think you've got to try and get an outlet.
Mamouche wants it played in, and Oscar Bob floats it towards him, but ever so slightly too close to Mark Flecken. That's about as direct as City have been in the attack so far in the early stages of this game. We've played 14 minutes now, and it remains Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
That's exactly the movement, isn't it? In behind, yes, drop in, but you've got to stretch, you've got to run. It's a great ball right over the top, sort of in and around the penalty area, but Flecken comes forward, good position, just as Marmouche is wondering, can he get his touch? It's just gone over his head into the penalty area, but it just ran away from him.
This is still City 0, Leverkusen 0. City, who as things stand, have just slipped down to 5th place in this ever-moving Champions League group phase. We're midway through, 4 games played before tonight, including this evening, 4 games to go. Leverkusen fans making most of the noise inside the Etihad at the moment. A small but vocal band have travelled from Germany away to our right-hand side. The Leverkusen new coach Kasper Hjulmand took over from Erik ten Hag in September, so he's only been in the job a couple of months. Former Danish national coach. He's done really well so far. Here's to Gianni Reinders inside the penalty area, back to goal. However, he's got to come out of the box and give it to Ryan Aït-Nouri. City holding on to possession, a little flurry of passes on the edge of the box. Nico Gonzalez back out to Savinho on the left-hand side. Savinho threatens to dribble into the box, but then just puts his studs on the ball and tries to shift a bit of weight, and eventually no way through, so he rolls it back to Nathan Ake once again. Marmouche waiting patiently in the centre. Aït-Nouri gives it to Savinho once more. This is still level with the edge of the penalty area. City attack down the left-hand side. 16 minutes played at the Etihad. Savinho involved for the 5th time in the move. Gives it to the byline. Reinders sprints to keep the ball in play, and at full stretch he does stop the ball from going over the goal line. However, he can't hold on to possession himself, and Leverkusen are able to clear it away directly up to Schick, but it goes out of play for a City throw.
That's what he does, Reinders. He can run very quickly in behind, aggressive, not afraid to do that. But the first one from the left-hand side, Savinho, great little ball, little nutmeg, and he sort of pulls it back, and Gianni Reinders is in the middle of the box, but he stays safe. I think that's what we've seen so far from City. Safe, keep possession, rotate. Let's take some chances now. Let somebody run through. Let's have another run inside, move them around. Yes, it's been nice to the eye, but far too comfortable for the away side at this moment in time.
Pretty games in the Championship this evening. Coventry are 2-0 up away at Middlesbrough. These games started at 7:45 this evening. Stoke 2-0 in front at home to Charlton. Preston lead at Watford. Norwich in front at home against Oxford United. And it is an 8 o'clock kick-off and still 0-0 between Southampton and Leicester. We'll keep you up to date with what happens in the Championship. Full details, of course, on the BBC Sport website. As Alex Grimaldo rolls the ball back to Balasia. Not a great clearance from him, and City got to pick it up here on the edge of the area. Oh, was that the right pass? Lewis gave it back to Savinho. Better one might have been to Reinders, who could have shot, and Leverkusen probably got away with one there. They tried to counter-attack. Ernest Poku, pace to burn. He's into the penalty area. Rayan Nouri trying to keep up with him, brings him down inside the box. The referee was very close to that and immediately waves his arms and says no penalty. That looked high risk from Nouri. City take a big sigh of relief there. For a moment it looked like Leverkusen might be about to get a spot kick. We'll get reaction from Michael Brandt to that in a moment, but it's end to end here at the Etihad. 0-0, City on the counter attack. Oscar Bob comes in field of Malik Tillman, lays the ball off to Tijani Reinders, urged to shoot and does, left footed but blocked by Jarrell Kwanzaa, and the loose ball just bobbles back to Mark Flecken. That's the most exciting passage of play we've had in the game so far. Michael.
End to end, we were waiting for it to liven up. The City had good possession at the edge of the area. Rico Lewis in and around it, Oscar Bob, but they wasted it on the edge. Tijani Reinders trying to set, then the counter attack was quick. Poku down that right hand side, and he gets the better of him, doesn't he? He's got to cut across Nouri. He doesn't. He lets him get back in. He takes a bit of a risk on the challenge. He gets it correct, and the counter was there from Reinders.
Sheik's attempted flick didn't work there. Nathan Ake is able to play the ball forward. Rico Lewis attacks the D of the Leverkusen penalty area, but he can't shrug off Alex Garcia. So City do hold on to possession here, but they're back in the central third once again. John Stones gives it to Nouri on the left hand side. I was impressed how quickly Nouri got back to make the challenge on Ernest Poku, but I don't think I was as impressed as how quickly the referee got back to be so close to that penalty shout inside the box. That was serious gas from João Pinheiro.
Can it last? Let's have a look at him.
Yeah, absolutely. He ate up the ground, the Portuguese referee, to get back there. This is Oscar Bob. This is, Champions League level, the referees are all of a very high standard. This is Oscar Bob. The appeals from City that Rico Lewis may have been fouled there. They still have possession. Players continuing around him. Rico Lewis is back up on his feet. The referee wasn't interested in the appeals for a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. City move it on to Nouri, and then he tries to thread one through for Savinho, but it's picked off by Ernst Poku, and Leverkusen regain possession once again. 0-0, Michael Brown.
Yeah, they tried to make that slide past Savinho inside, running into deeper areas. That's exactly what you need to do. He's unlucky though, well defended.
City get it back again. Leverkusen at the moment are troubling, finding it difficult to clear their lines. Tillman is fouled just outside the D of his penalty area. The Germans relieved to hear the whistle there. But there's been a few occasions where there's been one touch too many on the edge of their own penalty area for Bayer Leverkusen. And City have certainly got the chance of picking up opportunities if they keep that pressure going in that way. So this is 5 Live Sports Extra. In Scotland, Grant Hanley's been sent off for Hibs this evening. Derby County have taken the lead in the Championship away at Swansea. Joe Ward with the goal there. Southampton have just gone in front at home against Leicester City. In League One, Luton Town have taken the lead against Huddersfield Town. Jake Richards with the goal there. But half an hour played in those 7:45 kickoffs. In the Championship, Middlesbrough get one back. Middlesbrough 1, Coventry City 2. You're up to date on Sports Extra as Oscar Bob comes on the attack down the right hand side for Manchester City. City have scored 39 goals this season in all competitions. Erling Haaland has scored 19 of them, so pretty much half, and Erling Haaland not in the team tonight. There has been a huge reliance on the Norwegian as Savinho plays in a low cross, but too close to Jarrell Kwanzaa, who clears away.
Yeah, good position. There we go. Drive the line is opening up now. City are taking the safety valve off, starting to push, start to dominate more and drive forward. There's good areas though. The defensive line by Leverkusen has been good, not being moved around too much.
Oscar Bob in possession for City, just outside the penalty area on the right hand side. Lovely little drag back to himself and push forward. He's got great feet as Oscar Bob. City fans just want to see a little bit more end product to the other end of what always starts as a very promising dribble from him.
Take the risk there, Conor. That's what you're saying. Look how good he is now. He's on it and doing it again. Look.
Yeah, he twists, he turns, but can he then pick out the killer pass? Can he get into the shooting position himself?
I'll go into the box even. Do you know, just drive through the players and opponents, because I'm delighted when he checks back.
No, he's well able to hold on to possession, isn't he? This is Savinho on the left-hand side for Manchester City, the yellow boots. He'll flick it back to Nathan Ake. Ake's first touch wasn't great, so he distracts with his second and the ball goes out of play. But that will be a Manchester City throw on the far side. So Pep Guardiola, who's got a warm hooded jacket on this evening, cold temperatures in Manchester. The only other coaches to lead English clubs to a century of Champions League games have been Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger in the past. And if City at the moment are languishing some 7 points behind Arsenal in the Premier League, it does just refocus on how surely Pep Guardiola would value another Champions League to add to the 3 he's already got in his managerial career. I mean, I'm not saying he's by any means going to be finishing up anytime soon, but he is in that latter stage of his career now, isn't he? He's not a young buck anymore. He's been thinking about legacy, thinking about can he catch Ancelotti's record. Here come Leverkusen on the attack. They're going to get a chance. Grimaldo and Bayer Leverkusen against the run of play take the lead at the Etihad Stadium, and it's the Spaniard Alex Grimaldo, his second Champions League goal of this group phase. Tell you what, he took it really, really well. But it's a similar old story for Manchester City. They've been caught cold to the back again.
Counter-attacks, that's what Pep Guardiola doesn't like. The break down that right-hand side. But it's City have got to recover. They've got to get back into better positions. And when it comes into the centre, it's there's a good challenge and then it just drops. Grimaldo, that left foot, you know he can control, you know he's got quality, steps forward, drives it with those laces into that far corner. James Trafford, no chance from that distance because it's set so nicely. But they've got to stop the cross initially down the right. They've got to get contact, they've got to get recovery runs. And now it's exactly what Pep Guardiola didn't want.
So Alex Grimaldo, who has been Leverkusen's joint top scorer this season, goes out on his own as their main goal scorer. The left wing back arriving just where he needed to be. Cavani did well to tee it up for him. He still needed to finish it low and hard, true into that bottom corner. Excellent finish from Alex Grimaldo. And the former Benfica man making it Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. And just as what happened at St James's Park on Saturday, Manchester City fall behind. And this is where the team lineup tonight now returns to our focus. Pep Guardiola making 10 changes, remember, and his team now a goal behind, Michael.
Yeah, you just look at the stats. City control the possession completely, but efforts at goals, shots on targets, real big chances, not too many. So that's the point, isn't it? You know, you can move them around and wait and have your shape and setup, but you've got to be more clinical. And that is, again, something City have got to improve on, that counter-attack, the stretcher, they push you into different areas, and then it just drops kindly. But I think that's too much space. Grimaldo's the one, isn't it? When he comes from such an area, yes, it falls nicely, but he's got so much time to knock it in.
And here is Malik Tillman playing the ball forward to Sheik, and then out to the left-hand side to the goal scorer, Alex Grimaldo again. This is going to do Leverkusen's confidence the world of good. Since his appointment in September, Kasper Hjulmand, the Leverkusen coach, the only manager in the Bundesliga who's beaten him has been former City player Vincent Kompany with Bayern Munich, but it's only been the best in Germany that have been able to beat Leverkusen since Hjulmand's appointment.
And they could score a goal as well, can't they? That's the only time at Bayern they didn't score.
Yeah.
3-0, Connor. And you know, it tells you, doesn't it? There is a platform, there's a formula, there's good players. It's just about the system now, organisation in detail for them. But this is now, they've got a lifeline, they've got a light. You know, this is a major lift when you're just sitting in and waiting. You're high, the adrenaline just pumps.
A good start to the evening for Stoke City. They've got a third goal. Sorbert Thomas making it Stoke City 3, Charlton Athletic 0. And Southampton with another goal in quick succession. Finn Azaz, the Republic of Ireland international, making it Southampton 2, Leicester City 0. That is in the Championship. Here in the Champions League, Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1, and City, who haven't lost at home in the group stage in how many years it is. God, I've written it down so many times now. Let's just confirm again. The last time that City were beaten 2018 in either a group stage or a league phase at home in the Champions League. When Lyon won here, that was the last time that City lost one of these. Now, a long way to go tonight, but no doubt this has not been the start that Pep Guardiola would have wanted this evening. Marmoush, who's been peripheral so far, collects it 15 yards outside the penalty area, rides one challenge. Kushinov swings the ball into the penalty area, but it swings away from the arriving Savinho, and it goes out of play. And it's not happening for Manchester City at the moment, with 27 minutes played at the Etihad and trailing Leverkusen by 1-0.
Yeah, just getting another look at the goal down that right hand side, and it's just obviously Kushinov almost hooks it down to in front of Cavani, and then it just sits perfect. He just comes on, drills it into that corner with the outside of his sort of left foot as he swings it in directly into the far corner through bodies. But yes, it's not falling. Kushinov there just tries to bend the ball in. Savinho looking to try and get some sort of contact on it as it drifts away. Those supporters with great delight. Leverkusen winning. The City have reacted. They're pushing the ball, controlling possession. I think the wider areas are the key. I think get them wider, get them higher. Rico Lewis is getting into areas which really just congesting it a little bit in front of Marmoush.
Down in London, still Chelsea 0, Barcelona 0, but Chelsea have had the ball in the back of the Barcelona net a second time, and for a second time it's been disallowed. Estevao whipping a free kick into the penalty area. Enzo Fernandez with a header, but Trevor Chalobah was deemed to be in an offside position. You can listen to full commentary of that right now over on our sister station 5 Live. That was an 8 o'clock kickoff, as it is here, where Manchester City are trailing by Leverkusen by 1-0. And we mentioned the strength of the City bench tonight. It's probably worth, listing out the players. I mean, there won't, in the history of Champions League, there won't have been many benches stronger than this one for City tonight. Ruben Diaz, Erling Haaland, Ryan Cherki, Jeremy Doku, Bernardo Silva, Josko Gvardiol, Mateus Nunes and Nico O'Reilly. I mean, that is absolutely a bench.
Yeah, it's a magnificent bench. We see the changes and we think, I started looking and say, well, is there any different options? Has he rested a couple? Has he left them? Well, he hasn't. He's brought them all here and they're all ready to go. But they have to find a solution. Look at him looking down at the floor now as he just thinks, touches his nose. He's always thinking, hands in pockets as he sits down with the change staff that we talk about, that he's happy to test himself, Pep Guardiola.
Chelsea have taken the lead against Barcelona. Pedro Neto, who started as the central striker tonight, has scored. Chelsea 1, Barcelona 0. Commentary over on 5 Live right now. Here at the Etihad, Manchester City have been asked questions by Leverkusen. They trail to the German team by 1-0. It's the earliest goal that City have conceded at home in the Champions League in a year and a half. The last time to score earlier than this was when Real Madrid's Rodrigo put them in front, April 2024. But City behind after 23 minutes tonight at home in Europe. Ryan Aït-Nouri has possession on the left-hand side for Pep Guardiola's team. Gives it on to Savinho. City doing everything right to a point, but nothing spectacular so far. Savinho to the byline, swings in across. Marmoush is going to keep it alive here. The angle is tight, back into the centre. Good reaction by Bade, who comes out, and then Ryan Aït-Nouri tries to shoot but completely scuffs it on the edge of the area. It wasn't the most comfortable body shape for the Algerian, and that goes well wide of the target. City 0, Leverkusen 1.
He's waiting for it, isn't he, just with that sidewinder across his body, and the pace has sort of gone on the ball. Marmoush does well on the back post, hangs it up, headed clear, and as it comes to him, he sort of had to change the angle, move his body as he waits, tries to hit it hip height, but he catches it really poorly. Been better taking a touch, and that's sort of really disappointing end to a promising attack.
Leverkusen, who were Champions League runners-up back in 2002, they were beaten by Real Madrid in the final in Glasgow. In more recent times, they reached the Europa League final in Dublin in 2024. You might remember they were beaten by the Italian club Atalanta. That was the Bundesliga winning season under Xabi Alonso, where they were unbeaten the whole way through the game. Whole way through the season. That Europa League final was their 52nd game of the campaign. They lost it. The only game all season that Xabi Alonso's team lost that incredible campaign. But of course that success brought him to Real Madrid. Many of the big names have left Leverkusen. But now under Kasper Hjulmand, they're ready to show what the new generation can do. One of those new generation, Gerald Quanta, still only 22 years of age, plays the ball into the penalty area, miscontrolled by John Stones back there, and Patrick Schick is going to try and drive to the byline down the left-hand side as well, to stand up to a shoulder charge from Kushinov. Leverkusen hold on to possession. They have it near the halfway line with Balassian. He'll give it to the left-hand side, controlled by Grimaldo, the goal scorer. Leverkusen looking much more confident on the ball now. They've got their noses in front, but that's not a good ball. It carries all the way through to James Trafford. Michael Brown.
Yeah, Patrick Schick's done all right. It's a big applause from the manager. He just drifts inside, holds it up, lends it to one of his teammates. When that opportunity, tries to go down that left-hand side, but Kushinov, big frame, just gets his body across. He tries to push it on that left-hand side, but it wasn't really cleared initially from City. Nathan Ake now stepping forward. There's the run from Savinho again, trying to create ground as Aït-Nouri comes round on the overlap, but doesn't play it, comes round, circulates. And that's the next step, isn't it? Can those runners from the midfield areas, can they time it right in between the two centre-backs into the byline?
City trying to force their way into the penalty area here. No way through for Aït-Nouri. Kushinov maybe thought about a shot on the edge of the box, but the space was closed down by Tillman. Then Oscar Bob goes down just outside the penalty area. I think the challenge was by Alex Grimaldo. Portuguese referee João Pinheiro was close again. He shakes his head. No free kick for Manchester City. And Leverkusen growing in confidence all the time here. Here's Oscar Bob, challenged by Alex Garcia. The ball goes out. What City thought was going to be a corner, but the assistant points his flag towards the 6-yard box. That is a goal kick for Mark Flecken, the former Brentford keeper, and a goal kick for Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah, Garcia sort of just clips it off him, and that's how he gets it. But we just get a little rear on Grimaldo and Oscar Bob coming together. His leg gets across him. Pep Guardiola's walked to the fourth official down on the technical area, asking him for a foul. Oscar Bob certainly thought there was contact as he couldn't play the ball. But that's the one there now. They're just dropping down to midfield areas, sort of that 10 position, filtering the ball. They're much more confident in possession now because of that lead. They all want it, saying, give me a touch. They're playing forward. There's another great pass forward.
Nice ball into Ibrahim Maza, the Algerian. Out to the right-hand side to the impressive Ernest Poku. He's seen a lot of the ball so far. Tries to cut back on the edge of the box, but he runs into trouble in the shape of Tijani Reinders. And Aït-Nouri rolls it back to Trafford, who's not got much space there and can just immediately wallop it away. Left-footed high into the still Manchester evening. As Alex Garcia against his old club takes it down and controls and rolls the ball back to Loic Bade. City, who have got Real Madrid away next to the Champions League, which in itself puts a bit more pressure on tonight. After that, it will be Bodo Glimt away in Norway. Bodo Glimt, who this evening are taking on Juventus, and they've taken the lead against them. Bodo Glimt 1, Juventus 0. In the Championship, Derby County have gone 1-0 up away at Swansea this evening. Watford have got one back. It's 1-1 Watford against Preston North End at Vicarage Road. Norwich City take the lead. Not take the lead. It's half-time. Norwich City against Oxford United. Norwich by a 0-0 in front. Aït-Nouri comes forward for Manchester City. Gives it into the penalty area to Tijani Reinders. Angle is tied. Back to Aït-Nouri again. Big shout of man on from City fans. Kofane challenges him from behind. City players wondering if there might have been a shout for a penalty kick there, but play on, says the referee, and Leverkusen can come on the counter-attack here. And it's a slower pass, a little bit more deliberate, but it does well to pick out Tillman here, and loses the ball on the edge of the penalty area. Kwanzaa slides in on Aït-Nouri, seems to catch the Algerian, and the referee, who's been very lenient in allowing things go, holds up play here because he can see Aït-Nouri is hurt, but he didn't blow the whistle for a free kick at the time.
Let's see how bad this is, because when you lose the ball, Kwanzaa dives in a big way. Aït-Nouri has a little look. Let's see how much he catches, and when we get another look, he slides across. No, coming together, nothing in it. But they're the ones desperate trying to recover Kwanzaa, but he gets it correct. He tries to nutmeg us. It's a promising attack, but originally Grimaldo tries to play. There was a 4v2 for them, and the tempo of the ball was so poor. He just hit it, go for it, and then it was behind him. City recovered well, good numbers, out of possession, but that was a really, really good counter-attack wasted from the visitors.
Yep, 2 considered for Bayer Leverkusen. They needed to gamble a little bit more there. City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. Grimaldo's goal separating the teams. And there are now just 10 minutes of normal time to go until the break. This is 5 Live Sports Extra from the Etihad, live tonight in the Champions League. Good burst into the box from Savinho, but he can't bring the ball with him. Gonzalez has done well to pick it up. That's a nice ball from Mamouche, who stretched and he just couldn't get there. You know, over the years we've seen Erling Haaland do that, where he stretches and his right foot just hangs in the air and he gets a touch to the ball. Mamouche doesn't quite have the physical attributes. He stretched, he tried to get there, but he wasn't anywhere close in the end.
Listen, he weren't born with those legs, was he? Like Erling Haaland. I mean, another 4 foot on the stretch, plus his boot that we see so many times. And it was like one of those, wasn't it? Do you know, like those Champions League goals against Dortmund where it's back post and it's stretching, it's good ball, it's just going away from Mamouche. He really needs a goal, really, a run, doesn't he? Some more minutes, Mamouche. But again, he's playing in that sort of central role. I'm not sure what his best position is. If you tell me, right, he's a 9 or he's a wide player, he's a player with real intent, with attacking flair, some dynamics, but he's not necessarily a person you can pigeonhole. So how does he get in? How does he get a run? We've seen him do that under Pep Guardiola, but he's found it tough lately.
He has 1 goal in his last 14 appearances for Manchester City for Omar Mamouche. That came in the EFL Cup against Swansea. I mean, he's absolutely had big moments in a City shirt. Remember that hat-trick against Newcastle last season? He got the Premier League's Goal of the Season award when he thunderbolted it in against Bournemouth in May. But it's the consistency that City fans want to see as Leverkusen come on the attack here with Grimaldo, low ball in towards the edge of the area, and Nathan Ake, who was the last line of defence, did well there up against Christian Cafani. City trying to come forward. Rico Lewis can't hold on to it, and it was actually Oscar Bob who gave possession away.
The pace of Cafani, do you know when he goes on the counter? He's so quick, Connor. You can watch him from middle of the position. He's just putting City under all sorts of pressure.
Manchester City just lacking a bit of bite in the game here. A young team, lots of energy, but they just need that wise old head at the moment that's missing. Someone to put the foot on the ball and make something happen. All just a little bit blustery at the moment from Pep Guardiola's team, and they trail to Leverkusen at the moment. Foul by Nathan Ake on Cafani on the halfway line. Free kick to the Germans.
That's the one you can't do. Yes, you've got to go tight, but you can't necessarily give him a foul. It's perfect. You just wait, circulate the ball, get moving again. But it's just getting into a little area now, isn't it, where Pep's thinking, I have to find a change. Do you know when you've got that bench, can he honestly start the second half with the same 11? The temptation might be too high for him.
Well, half-time is not too far away now. 6.5 minutes to go until the break. Flecken just had to slide on the edge of his own 6-yard box to clear the ball away there, but he did a good job. Up towards Cafani, jumping in the air with Nathan Ake, and deemed to foul Nathan Ake. Cheers from City fans as the Portuguese referee gives a free kick to the home team. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. First half flying by here. Leicester City, who trail against Southampton, are down to 10 men now. That was an 8 o'clock kickoff. Odobade Aluko has been sent off there for Leicester. Half-time in the Middlesbrough Coventry game. Coventry City still leading Middlesbrough by 2-1 away from home. Half-time at Hull City, 0-0 against Ipswich Town. And in Scotland it's half-time at Motherwell. They lead Hibs, 10-man Hibs it is, by 2-0. In the Champions League, here at the Etihad Stadium, German side Bayer Leverkusen are leading Manchester City. Elsewhere in the Champions League, Chelsea in front against Barcelona at Stamford Bridge. Ajax trailing 2-0. That was the early kickoff. They lost, didn't they? Jose Mourinho's Benfica beating Ajax by 2-0. Galatasaray, who City will play in the final game of this league phase, have lost this evening. They were beaten by Union Saint-Gilloise, the Belgian team. Juventus is still trailing against Bodo Glimt. Newcastle United still in front of the south of France against Marseille after Harvey Barnes' early goal this evening. Rayan Aït-Nouri has possession for Manchester City, midway inside Leverkusen territory. Familiar pattern here, gives it to Savinho, back again to Aït-Nouri, back to Ake, tries to return it to Savinho, this time taken by Reinders on the edge of the box. He goes down, no free kick again. Referee has let a lot play tonight, but at least he's been consistent in that regard, as Belocian gives it to the left hand side to Grimaldo, back again to the French defender. Back into the centre to Loic Bade, who played against City in the UEFA Super Cup final a couple of years back when he was a Sevilla player. You might remember the name Loic Bade. He was on loan at Nottingham Forest 3 seasons ago, but he never made a senior appearance for them. He had injury problems. City tried to come forward again, but it breaks down on the edge of the box, and the loose ball continues through to Mark Flecken again.
Yeah, it just doesn't come off, does it? You know, when they try little passes around the corner. It's an unusual position, really. Rico Lewis is almost in an advanced sort of false 9 area on the press. On the right-hand side, we've seen Reinders, Mamouche on the left trying to press. But they're just taking the time, they're waiting, happy to go direct now towards the end of this first half. I think there'll be a few groans from the City supporters if it does stay like that. And for all the possession, like we keep saying, the quality is there. They've got some great players available. Yes, there's been changes, but clear-cut chances is going to have to improve massively in the second half.
It's just some of the Manchester City fans beginning to make their way towards the half-time refreshments already. This has been a disappointing first half for City. Can't really think of a moment when Mark Flecken, the former Brentford goalkeeper, has been under pressure here.
Nathan Ake, wasn't it? Near post, but it wasn't really going in, was it?
Yeah, that's it. And down goes Mamouche, and this time he does get a free kick. Fouled by Loic Bade. Free kick to City midway inside Leverkusen territory there. Bade with his left arm wrapped around the neck and shoulders of Mamouche as they challenge for the ball in the air. So free kick to City. Let's see if they can produce anything here. Taken by Reinders to Oscar Bob on the right hand side. Back to Tijani Reinders again. Sprints to the byline. Does well to flick the ball to keep it in play. Oh, he's done well the second time there as well. Reinders lofts it in towards the back post. Ait Nouri gets it back down on the deck, helped out by Savinho. City have dribbled their way back out of the box again. Central position is Rico Lewis, back to the centre circle to Kushinov. Leverkusen sitting deep on the edge of the box. They know this is coming straight back at them. Ait Nouri, left-footed delivery needed to be higher. Oscar Bog will pick up the loose ball on the edge of the box. Maybe a chance of a tight shot here. Deflects, then cleared well by the foot of the goalkeeper. Flecken had to react late there. Stretched out his right boot, was able to block the ball away. And out it goes for a Manchester City corner. Better from City.
Yeah, Oscar Bob really good. Drives the line, pushes it into space and thinking, is he going to shoot far post? Fires it across. Good numbers, good areas, and then they rush it. That clearance, they've just give the free kick away by Leverkusen. The manager disappointed as it's hooked away. You can't afford it at this sort of stage now. More composure.
Savinho to take the corner. Right hand side as Manchester City come forward. It's an in-swinger. It's too close to Flecken. And the Dutch keeper rises comfortably and gathers that to his gloves. In the Championship, we told you that Leicester had gone down to 10 men. They've now conceded a third goal at Southampton. Southampton 3, Leicester City 0. Taylor Harwood-Bellis is making it a very good evening for Southampton so far. Half-time at Stoke, they're 3-0 up on Charlton. In the Champions League, City still trailing, Chelsea still ahead, and Newcastle still ahead. Leverkusen have possession with the goalkeeper Flecken away to our right-hand side. Gives it to the right to Gerald Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, who was involved for England with Thomas Tuchel over the recent international squads, will be hoping he's got a decent shot of making the World Cup squad next summer. But Bayer Leverkusen coach Kasper Hjulmann's going to be very pleased with how this first half has gone so far. Away from home at the Etihad, there's always a long way to go, but Leverkusen will be delighted, particularly if they can keep their noses in front here for the next minute or two and bring this lead into the dressing room at half-time. Oh, they've given the ball away on the edge of the box. Maz's mistake. Can Reinders make it? Pang out. Saved by Flecken. The shot was straight at the goalkeeper. Was it Tijani Reinders? He's got to put it either side of the keeper there, surely.
Yeah, he does so well, right through the middle. Big mistake. We talk about moments at the end of halves where you've got to be clear, professional, give the ball away, and then he's right through the centre. I'm thinking it opens up perfect, right on the penalty area, right on the penalty spot. Any side, straight at the goalkeeper. You have to put it down as a good save.
Kushinov stretches for City and gets there ahead of Alex Grimaldo and puts the ball out of play for a throw-in to Bayer Leverkusen on the left-hand side. And Malik Telman to take. Chance on our monitors again to see a replay of this. Mistake at the back by Ibrahim Massa. And Reinders does everything right to get into position, but then he sends the shot straight at the goalkeeper. And there's no additionals at half-time. The referee blows the whistle, bang on 45 minutes. So it's the goal from Alex Grimaldo. He's 8th of the season in all competitions. He's 2nd in the Champions League. He took it really well. City need to create more, though, Michael, in the second half, or they're in trouble here. Yeah,
they started with control. I think that's the danger sometimes, where it's too comfortable for you. A team sets off, you play nicely, nice long passes, little diagonals. You're good, you're looking nice, and everything's going well for you. You're getting your line, sort of your defensive line pushing forward, and the wide areas probing. But really, it wasn't about pace, clear-cut chances. The tempo did get up, but then Obviously, the away team just started to grow into it. Leverkusen just pushing. A couple of opportunities down that right-hand side with counter-attacks. And then finally, the second one after Puku had a good opportunity. Didn't really get the best of it. It comes across, and then Grimaldo with a really good, strong finish into that corner. City then reacted, completely tried to find the way, but really it didn't have any quality or intent after a real poor first half.
City with lots of firepower on the bench. Do you expect us to see Erling Haaland in action anytime soon?
Do you know what, generally you'd sort of go, right, do I give him a little bit longer? His plan would have not necessarily been for the bulk of these to only play 45, unless injury tells you regards to the amount of minutes you can play because you've not played for so long. You'd want to save them towards the weekend. That bench, if possible, Nico in the middle of the pitch would be one who you'd sort of go, right, 60 minutes is where I'd need to be with him if all goes well. But he knows full well how to react. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that now rather than send the same 11 out.
Right, we've got a big second half to come here at the Etihad. Manchester City, who lost in the Premier League on Saturday away at Newcastle United, tonight trail at home in the Champions League against Bayer Leverkusen. Alex Grimaldo's goal separates the teams, and City have got 45 minutes to try and turn things around. We're going to join up with our colleagues on 5 Live. The closing stages, the first half, Chelsea against Barcelona. We'll get reaction to how Newcastle are doing against Marseille, and we'll be back here on Sports Extra for the second half from the Etihad. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1 for now.
Fields, Lewandowski seemed to impede Chalobah. Sanchez quickly slides to the front edge of his penalty area, underarm throw out towards Gusto. Gusto's ball was almost selling Chalobah a little bit short. He complains to his teammate. Gusto's ball forward on this occasion is better as he finds Neto running out towards the right touchline. Kubasi comes across and it will go out of play for a Chelsea throw, leading by a goal to 0 in front of the main stand here at Stamford Bridge. 1-0, Pat.
Yeah, and now there are spaces, and if you're a player like Estevar, if you're Pedro Neto, if you're Garnacho, you think, give me the ball, give us it in the space. We can make capital here in the second half.
There is indeed the half-time whistle. Chelsea have had 2 goals, both from Enzo Fernandez disallowed, and then after Cucurella delivered across from the right, Pedro Neto stabbed it goalwards. Last touch came off Koundé for an own goal to give Chelsea the lead after 27 minutes. But then Ronald Araujo for a second yellow card for a foul on Cucurella, dismissed just before the break. Pat.
Very, very interesting game. Certainly the first 15-20 minutes, it was end to end, it was breathless, a lot of real quality from Barcelona, but he just didn't seem to be able to keep it up, and slowly but surely Chelsea started to grind it out, and top players started coming into the game, and a couple of really brilliant moments from Esteval started to change it. You must be impressed by Enzo Fernandez getting forward into areas where he's had the ball in the net a couple of times, but he's got into great positions, and that's pulled Barcelona back. But as the game goes on, I have to say, you look at Cucurella, all he had to do was stop the star man playing. Well, A, he's done that, B, he's made the goal, and C, he's got a player sent off. Not bad for the left back.
So half-time here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea lead by a goal to 0.
Pat, what was interesting about that performance is how much has been made over the last couple of years about the youth of Chelsea's side, but the word that you used to describe that performance was maturity.
Yeah, and very specifically used. Thanks for listening. You kind of was suggested it before the game. You know, that midfield of James, Fernandes and Caicedo. Now, 2 of them are actually quite young players. I mean, James isn't old, but that's quite young. But yeah, there's so much maturity there. There's also great physicality there. There's great understanding of the game and understanding of each other as well. So that midfield area has been so strong and so powerful. The sweet, lovely, dinky little play that Barcelona were playing looked really nice for 15 minutes, and then they just snuffed it out after that. And you thought, well, something will happen in the second half if you're Barcelona. But with the sending off, well, that may have changed it completely again.
And again, a sending off that didn't need to happen. It was stupid from Araujo. I think you were saying that in commentary. And Barcelona now have it all to do, having not looked as though they were going to get back into the game, even with 11 men on the pitch.
Absolutely, but you know, we know it can change. You can never take it for granted. But you know, with 10 men on the pitch, you know, and Chelsea playing as well as they are just now, not lacking in confidence in any part of the field whatsoever. So if Chelsea, their biggest fear just now is they're probably looking at right back Gusto thinking, well, you're on a yellow. Well, we better not take any chances of anyone getting sent off. Having said that, this is the referee who's just making the right decisions. If somebody deserves a yellow, they get a yellow. He's not soft on it at all. So everything absolutely in Chelsea's favour just now, unless they do anything really, really stupid. They don't look as if they're going to do it now, but football's a bit of a mad game. And remember, Flick just had to have a look at his bench. There's a couple of good players on there, but right at this point in time, he's got his Euros to earn.
1-0 to Chelsea at half-time at Stamford Bridge. We will be back with Pat Nevin and Ian Dennis for the second half of this game against Barcelona in the Champions League. On Sports Extra, you'll be able to find Manchester City against Bayer Leverkusen. Also half-time at the Etihad. Mike Maine has been watching this one for us, and it's been tougher for City than we've seen at the Etihad, Mike.
Yeah, they've got a great record against German sides in the Champions League. Haven't lost at home to one since 2013. They are unbeaten in the Champions League so far, but behind at the break to Bayer Leverkusen. And Alejandro Grimaldo, sweet strike with his laces, finished off a great counter-attack move down the right. City have had the possession, credit to Lewis and Bob, who are trying to make things happen, but the fans are getting frustrated. You can sense that around the cold air of the Etihad. You may remember 18 months ago, Mark Flecken made the most saves in the first half of a Premier League game when playing for Brentford against City. He's at it again tonight. Two good saves, one palming away Nathan Ake's effort, and towards the end of the first half, one from Tajani Reinders, which he saved with his legs. The Leverkusen fans have been great, bouncing around, conducted by a man with a megaphone, and they're shouting even louder at the moment. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1.
Mike, thank you very much. Mike Maine will keep us up to date, and remember you can listen to commentary with Conor McNamara and who's with him? Michael Brown is with him, watching Manchester City against Bayern. That's on Sports Extra. Newcastle also in action this evening. They're away at Marseille. It's also half-time in this one. Chris Coles has been across this. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Kelly. And Newcastle one up in what is a gloriously open game. Remarkable we've only had the one goal. Scored by Harvey Barnes inside 6 minutes. Good finish into the corner with space inside the box. But the chances for both since then have been plentiful and of excellent quality. Way too many to describe them all. Aubameyang has had 3 of them for Marseille, a couple well saved by Pope. Tonali, Willock and Gordon could have done better when well placed for Newcastle. It's the sort of game managers hate because of its openness, but it ain't half fun to watch. Newcastle on course for a 4th straight Champions League win, but there are way more goals in this. Marseille 0, Newcastle 1.
We'll round up the rest of the evening's Champions League scores in just a second, but there's been another goal at the Riverside, and it's game on, Charlie Slater.
Oh, very much so, and there are more goals in this too. It's Borough 2, Coventry 2. Horrible own goal though for Bobby Thomas. Corner kick, swinging towards the back post. Thomas tries to clear it away and instead sticks it in the back of his own net. This is a brilliant advert for football of any level, but what an advert for that title charge at the top of the Championship. It's Middlesbrough 2, Coventry 2.
Chris is going to keep us across every twist and turn in that game. John Bennett is across the other Champions League games this evening, and we talked about the importance of this for those 2 Italian giants. John, it's been nervy for them.
Yeah, Juventus are in big trouble, Kelly. Only 3 points from 4 games going into tonight, and in Norway it's Bodø Glimt 1, Juventus 0. So Bodø Glimt 45 minutes away from their first ever Champions League win. Ollie Blomberg with the goal, scoring at the back post. They also had a penalty appeal for a handball turned down. Juventus only 2 wins in their last 13 games. Meanwhile, Napoli 0, Karabag 0. David Nares close to scoring an overhead kick, but it's been frustrating for Napoli, who only have 4 points. Elsewhere, a goal just before half-time for Borussia Dortmund. Serhou Guirassy with a header from close range. That's vital because it's put them in the top 8. They're on 10 points right now. And finally, it's low-key between Slavia Prague and Athletic Club. It's 0-0.
Thank you, John. In the Championship, Watford back underway against Preston. Aaron Paul.
Watford 1, Preston 1. The visitors so close to retaking the lead here, Kelly. Ball in from the far side was set up beautifully for Liam Lindsay. The North End captain, Rosewell, got good connection, but it was matched by a very, very special save from Nathan Baxter in the Watford goal. Tipped it onto the post, and so the score remains Watford 1, Preston 1.
And it's half-time at Stoke. They're currently up to second in the table as it stands. They are 3-0 up against Charlton. Elsewhere in the Championship this evening, it's goalless into the second half between Hull and Ipswich. Norwich are 1-0 up against Oxford. Swansea 0, Derby 2. And Southampton 3, Leicester 0 is a half-time score at the moment there as well. In the Scottish Premiership, it's Motherwell 2, Hibs 0. And in League One, Luton are 1-0 up against Huddersfield. Peterborough trailing 1-0 at home to Stevenage. We'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening, and we're back at Stamford Bridge for second half commentary of Chelsea against Barcelona after the BBC News with Dan Maudsley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Good evening. President Trump is sending his envoy Steve Witkoff to Moscow to meet the Russian leader Vladimir Putin as he tries to finalise his peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. He said another top American official would meet senior Ukrainian figures at the same time, with Mr. Trump saying there are only a few remaining points of disagreement. Well, Ukrainians have already been voicing concerns about the plan. Is our State Department correspondent Tom Bateman.
He's not yet in a position where the Ukrainians have fully come on board with the Trump plan. And certainly, there is no sense that the Russians are on board with whatever the redraft may have been after the talks between the Americans and the Ukrainians in Geneva at the weekend. So it feels like they're still very, very far apart.
Here, the Chancellor has announced that sugar tax will be expanded to include milkshakes and lattes as part of further details released on the eve of her budget. Tomorrow, Rachel Reeves will also announce plans to increase the national minimum and living wages, with over 21 seeing a rise of 50p an hour. The Justice Secretary, David Lammy, has suggested plans to only use the right to trial by jury in the most serious of cases in England and Wales. An internal briefing from the Ministry of Justice proposes only using a jury to try defendants accused of rape, murder and manslaughter. The measures are aimed at tackling delays in the system, but the Vice Chair of the Bar Council of England and Wales, Kirsty Brimelow, KC, isn't convinced.
What this has got the danger of doing is actually taking resources away from the system. So it's taking existing resources away from an already collapsing system, whereas improvements in the system that is currently operating cost very little. Have the courts operating to full capacity, don't have courts sitting empty, so therefore they can hear cases.
And Nigerian officials say 24 schoolgirls who were taken by gunmen from a government boarding school last week have been released. The incident was the first in a recent spate of abductions, including last Friday at a Catholic school where hundreds of students were reported kidnapped.
Snuggle up by an old stone fireplace and enjoy a cup of cocoa.
Christmas films on BBC iPlayer.
Here we are on the run-up to Christmas.
Christmas?
Excellent.
Great. Big whoopee.
If you're not feeling festive yet...
No, not as such.
Oh.
Spark your Christmas spirit.
Make this a good one.
With Nativity.
Are we ready to give it a go?
The Holiday.
Okay, let's go.
Bridget Jones's Diary.
That's the one.
And more.
Sounds perfect.
Festive film favourites on BBC iPlayer. This is 5 Live Sports.
The Champions League with Kelly Cates. Listen on BBC Sounds.
We're at Stamford Bridge this evening. The second half of Chelsea against Barcelona is coming up very shortly. It's 1-0 to Chelsea. Barcelona are down to 10 men. Pat Nevin and Ian Dennis will be back with us very soon. In other football news, England and Chelsea goalkeeper Hannah Hampton has been crowned BBC Women's Footballer of the Year 2025, and we're expecting her to parade the trophy here at Stamford Bridge. She finished ahead of Arsenal and England striker Alessia Russo in second, and Spain and Barcelona's Aitana Bonmatí in third. Chelsea coach Sonia Bonpastor surprised her with the award and actually disguised it and pretended that it was a rabbit. You can watch that. It will make more sense in vision on the BBC Sport website. After the surprise from Bonpastor, Maz Farouki spoke to Hampton.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it. With all the other players nominated, I think they've all had unbelievable years. So yeah, obviously it's lovely.
Obviously, Sonia gave the most bizarre reveal ever of an award. But, you know, some of the things that she was saying about you as a player and you as a person, as a teammate, as someone that she works with every day, how does that make you feel as well? Some of the things that she is saying about you in terms of, obviously, professionally, it's been an amazing 12 months, but as a person as well, it just must be really nice to hear her comments.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's your manager at the end of the day, so it's always nice hearing lovely stuff off her. Sonia's helped us a lot in the short space of time she's been at the club, both on and off the pitch, with difficult moments throughout the summer, with all the family stuff that happened, and then having to go and perform on the big stage as we did do. So she's helped me through a lot. She's been through it herself, so she knows what it's like and the feeling. So it's always better when something relates.
And welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. We're just back underway. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. We pondered ahead of the break whether Pep Guardiola would make changes given this situation, and he has done. It's a triple change, Michael Brown, over the break, with Nico O'Reilly, Jeremy Doku and Phil Foden all being introduced.
Yeah, we did think straight away he would make the options and have a go at it. Rico Lewis is one, isn't he? Aït-Nouri, which hasn't played for so long, has obviously come back into it. But obviously, with that type of change, Phil Foden in the middle is going to be the real sort of dynamics in the middle. There's a cheeky little nutmeg there, but Doku is the one, isn't he? Out and out, down that left-hand side. He's going to try and go a little bit quicker. Phil Foden in support. Marmoush manages to stay in the number 9.
Yeah, Nico O'Reilly on for Aït-Nouri at left back. Phil Foden taking Rico Lewis's place in the midfield, and Jeremy Doku on for Oscar Bob, and that will mean that Doku goes left wing, and Savinho, who had been playing left wing, will move across to the right-hand side. City chasing at home in the Champions League, a very proud record stretching back to 2018 since they were last beaten in either the league phase or the group phase of the Champions League on their own pitch, Manchester City. So a triple change, which means that Pep Guardiola's used quite a lot of his options all in one swoop there. Reinders makes a run forward. This will be a difficult one to control, and he just about keeps it in play down by the byline on the left-hand side. Poor pass to Doku. Needed to be better from Reinders as Puku was able to clear the ball away. This is Ibrahim Massa. And just to confirm, no changes over the break from Leverkusen, who just want to continue with more of what they've had already. City with James Trafford in goal. Back four now of Kushner, Stones, Aki and O'Reilly. In midfield, Foden and Gonzalez, then Doku, Reinders and Savinho behind Marmoush. As Leverkusen have it on the edge of their own penalty area. Gerald Konza into Loic Bade, back to the goalkeeper Flecken. Real confidence as he dinks it to Belacian on the left-hand side, and then that clearance up towards the halfway line is won by Kushner for Manchester City. Foden tries to take it down. Bade's immediately in to dispossess him and get it back for Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen, their change strip tonight, black with red trim. They have it in the midfield with Ibrahim Massa. Good ball ahead up to the hard-running Kefali. Kefali up against John Stones, 10 yards inside the penalty area that Leverkusen attack. The Germans playing left to right as we look down in the second period at the Etihad. Massa has it. Back behind him to Alex Garcia, the former Manchester City man. Back over to the right-hand side to Ernest Puku. Now to Gerald Kwanzaa. Leverkusen have been brave here. They're pushing right up into City territory. Christian Kefali again, just on the edge of the box. Aki kind of veers him away from trouble. Leverkusen holding onto the ball here though, and still in the final third. It's received by Malik Talman. That's a good turn from Talman. Now can he get the shot away? Thought about it for a moment. Lays it off to Grimaldo on the left hand side, and Grimaldo's cross off Kushinov brings Leverkusen a corner. That's good stuff from the German team, who still lead here by a goal to 0 on Sports Extra.
Yeah, it's good work centrally as it's play into little areas round the corner, then out to the left hand side, trying to get that cross across the face of that City defensive line, but blocked, causing City a couple of problems. And when you make all these changes, then the substitutions, you've got to be bang on and set pieces. This is an opportunity here now if they work it like they should do.
Newcastle still 1-0 up in Europe. Chelsea leading 10-man Barcelona in London. Here on Sports Extra, City are behind, and the corner comes in for Leverkusen. O'Reilly wins at the front post. Massa takes on a spectacular volley and completely miscued it. Sent it 45 degrees from where he wanted it to go, but it's been that sort of evening for Leverkusen that they hold on to possession regardless. Pressure being applied by Phil Foden at the moment to the front of the City attack. Marmoush tries to get in on Bade, but Leverkusen are technically good, and they hold on to possession now. Maybe a chance for Marmoush here. Skips in, plays the ball forward, but sweeping across to save the day is Grimaldo again, and the ball goes out, and that's going to be possession back to the German team once again.
You just can't foul him, can you? Do you know, as you get into an area, Marmoush does very well. Little nutmeg, gets into space, then he lets it off by a foul. They're wasting time, they're not happy with the position, Manchester City, but you can see the disappointment straight away on Phil Foden. Pep Guardiola's saying, how can you move it from there when it's miles away? He's let them straight out, and momentum. He's getting frustrated, he's getting passionate. That tells you he realises he's got to get a reaction out of this team.
Yeah, he's made his 3 changes at half-time, Pep Guardiola. Still no Erling Haaland, though. Haaland, who's down, doing a little warm-up routine down below us at the moment, just tightening up the laces of his boots. City fans in this circumstance with their team 1-0 down will be very keen to see Erling Haaland on the field as soon as possible.
I'll tell you one thing there. Do you know when you look at it and you sort of go, right, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, the younger ones, that's fine. Ait-Nouri, he's the main signing. He's that left back, and you've got a central midfielder playing left back, getting international call up. If he's fit, how does he feel about that situation? And when he's sat in that dressing room, coming out to join the bench, psychologically, he's questioning himself straight away about where next for him.
Yeah, it does feel like the whole sequence of things has moved a little bit on that left-hand side. The emergence of Nico O'Reilly, played both games for England in the international break, shows his continuing maturity. And you would say at the moment that O'Reilly is the first choice left back for Manchester City. The fact he's been brought on here at half-time for Ait-Nouri with things not going well for City only reinforces that. Nathan Ake has possession for the home side. Bright yellow boots just down below us. 15 yards into the Leverkusen half. Stabs it back to John Stones, City's captain tonight. Further on to Gianni Reinders. City hold on to the ball, but they're still very much in the central third here with Kushinov on the right-hand side, and back into John Stones once again. Stones, who was an unused sub in the last two games for City against Liverpool and then Newcastle, but starting as captain tonight. Gives it to Nico Gonzalez on the right-hand side. Another a little bit feeling the way Ait-Nouri will be Rico Lewis, who has been hooked here at the break after not offering much in the first half. Here's Phil Foden. Back to Nico Gonzalez again. Over to the far side to Savinho. Savinho up against Alex Grimaldo, whose goal separates the teams. Good burst towards the byline. And there was a sliding defender for a moment. I thought, did it strike an arm there? But Genuel Belassiam was able to clear the ball away. City have it. Nico O'Reilly, who has scored recently, shoots from miles out, and it's saved by Flecken into the goalkeeper's ribcage. But at least it's a shot in anger for Manchester City, and we haven't seen one of those for quite a while. City 0, Leverkusen 1.
Yeah, 25 yards out, takes it on his back foot, central of the goal. Nico O'Reilly strikes through it, straight at the goalkeeper. Nice height, nice power, worth a go. Just looking, Erling Haaland down to our left. He's in much more of a higher tempo than normal when he's on that bench. He sort of thinks, I'm not bothering, I'm not coming on. Just seeing a little bit of contact from some of the staff. You know, when he's going towards that hour mark, you won't be surprised if he's unleashed.
Yeah, Erling Haaland this evening we thought he was going to make his 50th start in the Champions League, but he's got a great record against German clubs. Obviously used to play for Dortmund. His last 9 Champions League games against German teams, Erling Haaland has scored 10 goals. At the moment, City increasingly desperately need a goal here. Here's Malik Tellman for Leverkusen to the halfway line. Look at the space over there on the far side for Alex Grimaldo. Tillman plays it out towards him. Near the corner flag that Leverkusen attack left-hand side. Rolls it back infield again to Ibrahim Meza, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. Header in towards Schick, and he scores! Leverkusen get their second goal! A counter-attack again! Both goals from the Germans have been against the run of play. Decent cross in from the left-hand side, but it's the movement of Schick to get in front of the defender and then from close range to head it beyond James Trafford. Manchester City's bad night, their bad week really, has just gotten a whole lot worse. Haaland looks on from the sidelines, and it's Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2.
Well, the break's initially down the left-hand side. You see just Manchester City stepping up, waiting on the byline, but as it comes back in right-footed in towards that central area. Just having a little look now, Nathan Ake's in and around Patrick Schick, and he's waiting, he's looking, but because of the flight of the ball, what he does, he just loses it slightly. Nathan Ake gets underneath it, it's a floater, it's a slow one, and then he gets across him, this little nudge, and what he does, directs it down header into that left-hand side of James Trafford's goal. It's a devastating header because there wasn't much pace, but the accuracy into the ground was too much. The celebrations are intense. City have got it all to do. Can you believe this here?
What a story is developing ahead of our very eyes here at the Etihad. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2. And Leverkusen's joint top scorers for the season, Grimaldo and Schick, the two who put it in the back of the net. Expert header, you have to say. Proper number 9 play from Patrick Schick, who scored the winner against Benfica last time out in this competition. He's a player who over the years has averaged a goal every other game for Czechia at international level. And here in the Champions League, he has put Manchester City in big trouble. 1-0 is always easily rectified. 2-0 is a completely different matter at this level. And Leverkusen now really have a lead that they can try to defend.
You know, what you say is when the ball's got a real whip and a quality, pacey ball in, and it's hard because only a touch of a glance. But when it's sort of floated there, you can tell we're talking about 10 changes, players not playing, just a little bit of yard off it, just not judging flight. When players are playing, your opposition week in, week out, and he just drifts inside him, centrally, just outside that 6-yard area, darts it down. It's a brilliant header.
City chasing the game now here. Chelsea in London have had another goal disallowed. That's a hat-trick of disallowed goals for Chelsea tonight against Barcelona. Alejandro Garnacho, the latest to be caught offside. Chelsea still leading the Catalans by a 1-0. Commentary continues over on 5 Live. Here's Jeremy Doku trying to snap City out of their current malaise here. Can't break into the penalty area though. John Stones, midway inside Leverkusen territory, gives it to Nathan Ake on the left-hand side. Ake, the defender who was beaten by Schick for that second Leverkusen goal. This would be Bayer Leverkusen's best result under their new manager. Savinho breaks into the penalty area and sends the ball back across the goal mouth rather than into the back of the net. He just tried to kind of glide onto it there on the volley. Difficult technique, of course, but he'll be disappointed all the same to be so far away from the back of the net there, albeit for the tight angle from Savinho there. The Brazilian gets the ball again at his feet, just outside the angle of the penalty area. A couple of step overs, clips it across, too high for Marmoush. Kwanzaa rises. This is Nico Gonzalez inside the penalty area, but he can't get it down. And then Tillman, calm, doesn't just blast it clear, holds on to possession, back to Lloyd Bade. Leverkusen trying to play their way out, lose the ball in the final third again. First mistake in some time for Bayer Leverkusen. Nathan Ake will come forward for City, just outside the penalty area. Doku on the left-hand side. Played brilliantly in the last home game here against Liverpool. He was player of the match. City need to see some of that sparkle now. Jeremy Doku on the left wing, 2 defenders up against him. Leverkusen will have done their homework on the Belgian for sure. They know what to expect, but of course, knowing what he's going to do and actually stopping him doing it can be very different things when it comes to Jeremy Doku. Here he comes, trying to weave in off the wing on the left-hand side. Rolls the ball back to John Stones. Crossfield, looking for Savinho, trying to create a little space over on that hand side. Brilliant control for Savinho. Took it down on his chest, tried to glide away from Alex Grimaldo. Grimaldo's experienced, though, and gets back goal side. Here's Kushanov's cross, not good enough. Comes in low, scuffed really from Kushanov. And Leverkusen breathe again as the ball is cleared away. Manchester City holding on to possession, but they trail by 2-0 here. If you're just joining us in Sports Extra, Grimaldo scored in the first half, Patrick Schick has scored in the second half. City have offered very little in terms of attacking play, and here is Patrick Schick, who should be able to relieve a bit of pressure now. He has it just inside his own half. He's done well to hold it up, flicks it in towards Cavani. Cavani then back to Ernst Poku, and Leverkusen regain control here. Chelsea have taken a double of their lead against Barcelona, 2-0 now. Estevao has made it a brilliant night for Enzo Maresca. And you know what, Michael? Increasingly, you've got to sort of sit back and take note of Chelsea. Second in the Premier League. They are the nearest rivals to Arsenal for now. And at the moment, it sounds like they're putting Barcelona to the sword at Stamford Bridge. More on that in just a second, because Nico Gonzalez has got some clearing to do here inside his own half. Tijjani Reinders rides the challenge, pushes it in front of Marmoush. That's a rough tackle on the edge of the box, but the referee says no, free kick. Don't think it would have been inside the penalty area anyway, but Manchester City incensed that they get nothing there. Marmoush thought he was fouled. Referee said it was a fair challenge. Michael Brown.
Yeah, big decisions.
Oh, hang on. What's John Stones done here? He's played it off Trafford at the other end. Cavani picks up the loose ball. Now Patrick Schick. Lovely footwork. Gives it back to Cavani inside the penalty area. City hoping they've got enough numbers back there. Kushanov has done well against Cavani. Maybe a chance for Tillman here. Floats it in, looking for Schick. Well covered by Nico O'Reilly. Leverkusen, if they get a third goal, this would be all over. Poku to the byline. Mazza sends across, can't pick out a teammate. Now maybe a counting attacking opportunity for Savinho, but he's fouled by Grimaldo. That was a sensible foul in the circumstances. He'll get a yellow card for that, but he knew what he was doing. He knew that Savinho would have had a clean run through, so he's taken one for the team there. It's a free kick to City. It's a yellow card for Alex Grimaldo, the captain for the visitors, and it remains Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2.
When you see it again there, obviously that breakaway, you could have actually stood up, Savinho carried on. Trafford, Stones just getting together there, almost a problem. They get lucky. Patrick Schick's just good feet again, and they recovered from it. But end to end, they were asking for a penalty with Marmoush. I wasn't sure.
Here is Jeremy Doku taking on Ernest Poku. That's quite a tongue twister, that actually, Doku and Poku. But it is Poku, the German-born Dutchman, who gets the better of that particular tete-a-tete. And Leverkusen's clearance lands on the instep of John Stones, who drives forward here. This is good from Stones, into the penalty area to Phil Foden. Angle very tight, and Gerald Kwanzaa blocks it out. Corner to City. Gerald Kwanzaa played against City 3 times as a Liverpool player. He was never on the winning side. He's never on the losing side against them. He's always had a great record against City, Gerald Kwanzaa, and he's hoping to continue that here tonight. And Haaland has just run back to the dugout now, and the City fans are getting excited about this because they believe Erling Haaland's on his way.
That is
Not
a
until
green
after
light.
this corner.
He is coming.
Tijani Reinders to take. Raises both hands as a signal to his colleagues in the middle. Sends it in swinger, missed by the defender, third post, and fizzes through everyone. And out for a goal kick on the far side. Marmoush tried to react but couldn't get a firm touch on it. Goal kick to Leverkusen, who lead at the Etihad by 2-0. And just to remind you of the context here, City have not lost a home game in the league phase or group phase of the Champions League since 2018. It's not just going to be Haaland who's coming on. Ryan Cherki is getting ready too.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? When you're looking for an answer, looking for a solution to come and try and find a way back into the game. But end to end there, City were almost punished. But what will he do? Will he get another attacker? Will he change something in the middle? It's just gone really bitty, hasn't it? Scrappy. Normally that control is what you want. We've seen a great run from John Stones right through the centre. And then Phil Foden is trying to get his shot away. He's just looking to get space now, Phil Foden. Here he is. Just needs to get in behind that midfield line.
Yeah, that burst from John Stones, we mentioned it in regards to Oscar Bob in the first half. Something that City players need to do a bit more of. It's all been a bit too safe. Safe passing, predictable patterns from Manchester City. No one's really thought outside the box for Pep Guardiola's team tonight. And Manchester City in trouble here. Chelsea, who are leading Barcelona by 2-0, riding on a wave, but there's no doubt that City are in a bit of a problem spot here as Foden gives it to Doku, left wing, gets to the byline, hangs in a high cross, and no chances taken by Alex Grimaldo. He might have been able to try and clear that away, but he didn't want to take the risk. He puts it out for a corner. Corner to City on the left-hand side, 63 minutes played. City 0, Leverkusen 2. City still waiting to make the double change. Corner's taken short. Foden tries to cross it in. Malik Tillman wins the header. And Savinho's got to sprint back to roll it for James Trafford.
He's lucky there, though. Do you know, on the counter-attack, City leave one to Savinho, just manages to get it in line and stop that counter-attack. It was almost 1v1 there. It's right through the middle of the pitch. You just see now that line dropping back in on Leverkusen. 3 options. Doku left, Savinho on that right really high. He's trying to open it up. Nico O'Reilly also going to create the extra one in the middle.
Here is Jeremy Doku, left wing for Manchester City in their sky blue shirts, white shorts, sky blue socks. Leverkusen in black. John Stones rolls it to the right-hand side to Kushinov. City playing from right to left as we look down. Goals from Grimaldo in the first half and Schick in the second half have got Leverkusen in a very good position here. But as we know, once Haaland gets on the pitch, this could all be turned on its head very quickly if he's in the mood. Here's Jeremy Doku taking on Ernest Poku, who's got the better of him again. And, you know, I've seen quite a few defenders take on Jeremy Doku this season. I don't think I've anyone seen someone shut him down the way that Poku has done here so far. As the ball goes out of play for a throw-in to Leverkusen. And finally, after much pre-advanced warning, City are going to get to make this double change now. Haaland and Cherki coming on, and the first man to depart is Kushinov. Michael Brown.
You understand that, don't you? When he's gone in that number 9 position, when it hasn't worked out, people have been saying about Marmoush, what does he do next? Where does he go? But when the big man comes on, it's so tough. You can only assist him, you can only be in and around him. You're never going to be that number 9. But what we also see, Ryan Cherki, wonderful talent. He's come on and made a difference in so many games that he's managed to now start games in the big ones for Pep Guardiola. You see, sacrifice Kushinov down that right back row. Reinders is just going to get forward wherever he can.
Foden into Erling Haaland. First touch onto Savinho just outside the penalty area. Tijani Reinders looks like he's slotting in at right back.
He'll just come into the
Kushner.
middle, won't he, to make the difference. They won't need a full-back.
Cherki floats it here, looking for Jeremy Doku, trying to pull it back for Haaland, but well intercepted by Gerald Kwanzaa, who clears away for Bayer Leverkusen. 25 minutes of normal time to play. City trailing 2-0 on Sports Extra. Over on 5 Live, Chelsea dominating Barcelona. Night of mixed fortunes for the English clubs, with Newcastle still leading on the south of France against Marseille. Savinho here to Reinders, to the byline right-hand side, hangs it in for Haaland, gets his head to it, but it's well off target. He had a defender leading into him. Erling Haaland, who had 4 goals in 4 appearances against Leverkusen during his days in Germany with Dortmund. And this is his first attempt tonight. Done well, actually, Kwanzaa, jumping with Haaland, not fouling him, but clearly putting him off there.
But I think what it does as well, doesn't it? As soon as it comes on the pitch, the huge lift, now that defensive unit as well going, oh really, is this what's next? So he gets in your mind, put the ball in, within a few seconds he's got a headed opportunity. Yes, he puts it wide, feed him, put it in the areas, put the doubt in, just keep the tempo and sort of really be aggressive. I think now, in this moment, you might as well go for it.
What a time Scott McTominay is having with Napoli. He scored again tonight in the Champions League. Napoli 1, Karabakh 0. Scott McTominay with the goal there midway through the second half. Haaland's old team, Borussia Dortmund, are leading Villarreal by 2-0. Ipswich have got a couple of goals in the second half away at Hull. Hull City 0, Ipswich Town 2. Chuba Akpom with the latest of those. City attacking the Leverkusen penalty area, but it breaks down. Patrick Schick tried to hold it up, but he's outnumbered, and Reinders will give it back out to Savinho on the right hand side for Manchester City. Back to Rayan Cherki. Can he pick the lock here? Can he find some expansive passes to create some opportunities? Reinders involved again, just outside the penalty area, lofts it for Haaland, but ever so slightly behind the Norwegian, and Poku is able to just chest it back to the goalkeeper Mark Flecken. City still 2-0 down at the Etihad. Michael Brown.
Yeah, too comfortable. Yes, City tried to put it down that right hand side, but Doku just literally headed it down. Doku couldn't get close, but aggressive press to try to play out from City. Nathan Ake right on top now. This is the space, this is the man on it.
Well, Marseille have scored against Newcastle. They now lead 2-1. Marseille 2, Newcastle 1. That's all turned around from Harvey Barnes' early goal there. And in League One, Luton Town have gone 2-1 up at home against Huddersfield Town. Juventus have turned it around, having trailed Bodo Glimt 1-0 in the first half. It's now Bodo Glimt 1, Juventus 2. Winston McKennie has scored in that game. And here at the Etihad, Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2. And Gerald Kwanzaa, the former Liverpool man, a joint record signing for Bayer Leverkusen. They paid a lot of money for him to get him from Merseyside in the summer. Nice whipped crossfield ball by Alex Garcia will pick out Alex Grimaldo on the right hand side. The two Spaniards combining for Bayer Leverkusen there. Malik Tillman, number 10 on his back, bang on the halfway line, and just touches it back to Alex Garcia once again.
They can't believe it, can they? Look at them here now, playing triangle. They can't actually believe they're doing this to Manchester City right now.
Yeah, they're holding the play in around the centre circle. Then City tried to press, and immediately Mazza turns and he's away. And suddenly City have been bypassed in the midfield. And a shot comes in from Grimaldo and a follow-up. And it nearly fell the second time, but James Trafford makes his best save of the night to keep it 2-0 to Leverkusen. Flag goes up belatedly. It wouldn't have counted anyway, but another nervous moment for Manchester City.
That play was brilliant. Started off in the defensive unit, holding midfield player, little triangle, then they were out in behind City. And then the pass was on, strike hit his own player, then the offside flag come up.
Here comes Nico O'Reilly down the left-hand side, tries to nudge it into Erling Haaland, closely marked of course. Leverkusen stepping away from him, but can't hold on to possession. Savinho dribbles into the penalty area, went to round 2, tried to take on a third defender, and he's been stopped out for a corner. Corner to City, no time to waste as Rayan Cherki sprints out to place the ball by the corner flag. Michael Brown.
He will definitely get something in and around for opportunities. Rayan Cherki, here he is, quick, he's effective.
Rolls it to Foden on the edge of the box, back to Cherki, running at Grimaldo inside the penalty area, and Grimaldo's done really well against him there. And then Sheik tries to dribble his way out, and he gives it to the quick Fofana, and City need to get numbers back here. 2-1-1 if they're quick enough here for Leverkusen. Christian Fofana takes too long. City have now got numbers back. Aki lunges in to tackle him, and Manchester City regain possession. Here comes Phil Foden over the halfway line, rolls it for Erling Haaland, goes around Flecken, great save from Flecken. The goalkeeper stood his ground, He didn't slide onto the turf as Haaland thought he was going to, and he's been able to make a big block. That's the first proper chance for Haaland, and normally he puts those away.
Massive save, wasn't it? Phil Foden just into his stride, feeds him. He sort of runs centrally and runs on the angle. We've seen him so many times do it. Goalkeeper comes tight, he takes his touch. I think if he gets another corner, he'd then be able to slide it in. He tries to do it quickly, he's just come on, but again, what an opportunity. But you know what? The counter-attack a second ago, the run from Jeremy Doku, the recovery run changed everything because of the pace he had.
It was excellent goalkeeping from Fleck, and he sort of went to ground but then sprung back up again, like one of these sort of exercise routines where you go down and do a press up and back up to a standing position. It was like that. He's back up again. Haaland thought, hang on, I thought you were on the ground. I thought I didn't need a second touch. Really good from Fleck.
Jack in the box.
Jack in the box, and as you can tell, I don't do many of those, Brownie. That's why I wouldn't know what that's called. You're more the athlete in this commentary box. Tillman has possession for Leverkusen, and he'll give it back to Loic Bade. Pep Guardiola, who, if you missed the team news earlier, started with 10 changes for City from their defeat at Newcastle. He's since made 5 substitutions in the game, bringing in all the regulars: Foden, Doku, Haaland, Cherki, O'Reilly. But City can't make the breakthrough, and Leverkusen is still leading here by 2-0 on Sports Extra. Chelsea still leading Barcelona on 5 Live. Newcastle, who did lead earlier in Marseille, now trail, and here come at the German side once again, and Massa tries to shoot just inside the penalty area, and it's blocked by Reinders and out for a corner kick. Corner to Bayer Leverkusen, who still lead by 2-0 at the Etihad.
Well, they're cutting City apart on the counter, but because City have got 4 at the top of the pitch trying to get back into it, that's the danger. Desperate defending, central shot, but the atmosphere behind the goal, they're all bouncing. Those supporters cannot actually believe it, and you can tell the confidence, the way they're playing. The moving City having an extra touch, which you didn't see early on in the game. Now City must defend. Erling Haaland central, just in that 6-yard area. He's generally the person they put in there to see off that near post.
It's not quite Jack in the box from the Leverkusen fans, but they're bouncing up and down in unison. That's one way to keep warm. Really enjoying what they're seeing from their team here tonight. Leverkusen, who started the season in such shambolic circumstances, with Erik ten Hag being removed from the job after just 3 games in charge. But boy, have they got the right man in Kasper Hjulmand, the former Danish international coach, brought Denmark to the semi-finals of Euro 2020, beaten by England in the end, but he has proved to be just what they've needed. He's got this team playing again, and they look really good. Nico O'Reilly has possession just outside the penalty area for Manchester City. One decent chance created for Erling Haaland since he's come on, but no goals for City yet. This is O'Reilly pulling it back. This is Haaland, takes it down and puts it over the crossbar. Everything right until the final touch. He took his time, he controlled it, and then he blasted it over the top.
Well, he did. Nico O'Reilly does well. Left hand side, just stands it up, and then it sort of comes back. He's be able to take his touch, but he's facing slightly away from goal, centrally, just outside of that 6-yard area, and tries to hook it back over. It doesn't get over the top of it. He has to wait. He's got more time than he thinks, but he's not aware of the situation. As we just get another look at that Flecken save, it was a really good one. Down to his right as Erling Haaland tries to go around him and then play it early as if he's going to play it underneath his body, but he recovered well, and the extra touch was what was needed.
Another goal tonight in Europe for Haaland's old team, Borussia Dortmund. Villarreal, their opponents tonight, are down to 10 men. 1 Foyth has been sent off, the former Spurs player. And Galassi has made it Borussia Dortmund 2, Villarreal 0 in the Champions League. Napoli have got a second goal. An own goal has made it Napoli 2, Karabag 0. And Coventry City, who were 2-0 up at Middlesbrough, back to 2-2, have now made it 3-2. Mistake by Flecker, gives it to Savinho, couldn't get the shot away. Big chance for Manchester City, but Savinho couldn't shoot. City have it on the edge of the box. Foden out to Haaland in the penalty area, tries to cross for Jeremy Doku, but it's cut out by Gerald Kwanzaa, and then a miscued clearance by Grimaldo won't relieve all the pressure for Leverkusen as Cherki gets it down on the deck. Nice change of direction from Leon Cherki. City have it with Kushinov midway inside the Leverkusen half, right hand side as they come forward. Big collective deep breath taken by Leverkusen defenders there. That was nervous for a moment when Flecken gave it away to Savinho in the penalty area, but he couldn't get the shot away. Reinders makes a run into the box, and it's blocked out by Balosian and out for a corner. Corner to Manchester City on the right. They've only got a quarter of an hour to play now, Michael. They're still 2-0 down.
Yeah, Balosian, good position. Foden, 2 hands up, looking to fling this across. He's just got to do it quickly, keep the tempo on.
No time to waste for City. Foden takes the corner, high, swirling, in swinging. Aki tries to control it, but he can't pick out a teammate. And Ibrahim Maza clears the ball away. Anywhere will do. Long down the other end of the pitch, all the way to James Trafford, the Manchester City goalkeeper, who's been chosen ahead of Donnarumma tonight, but has been beaten twice, and City haven't been able to reply down the other end. Manchester City 0, Leverkusen 2. City, who started the night in 4th place in the table. If it stays like this, they will be back to 6th, and that's ahead of the games tomorrow. Here's Riyad Cherki into the penalty area, trying to push it in front of Nico O'Reilly, and across comes Loic Bade, and he clears away. Last touch of a City player, so that will be a Leverkusen throw.
It's like falling for them, isn't it? Do you know why, like, he clears it there? It's Doku as well, and then goes out. Yeah. Where normally the press is coming back. The last one of the clearance just falls to, an opposite shirt, which it tells you City have got to find something different. It's not just going to be as easy and normal as we expect, as we've seen so many times.
A big goal of the Championship. Coventry City, 4th goal of the night away at Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough 2, Coventry City 4. Closing minutes there of that 7:45 kickoff. Throw in for Leverkusen here in the Champions League at the Etihad. Quansah gives it back to Alex Garcia. A victory here tonight would mean more to him than any of his colleagues, really. The former City man who was let go after making 9 appearances for Pep Guardiola. Is he to come back here to the Etihad to beat his former employers tonight? Guardiola, who's made his changes now, really. Can this team produce something? It's only been little smatterings, little brief moments from City tonight. Nothing of a sustained nature that you would suggest for the talent available to the Champions League winners of 2023. Jeremy Doku has possession midway inside the Leverkusen half, tries to dance away from 2 tackles, and he's taken down by Christian Cavani. That's a yellow card for Cavani as Doku was about to burst into the penalty area. Free kick might just be about shooting position, maybe just a yard too far out.
I bet you Shirky will have a look and say, I'll fancy it. He's not afraid to try something. That's something, as you know, the manager will be thinking safety first at times, but this boy, he doesn't believe in that. He's a showman. Phil Foden on top. Will he just float it left-footed and flick it? Pep Guardiola just give him a little message now before they set it off. Maybe just push it right-hand side and let Shirky get his foot through it.
Free kick to Manchester City. Foden rolls it short to Jeremy Doku on the left-hand side. Now back into Riyad Cherki. Can he get the shot away? No. Took too long. Closed down by defenders, and Leverkusen are able to clear the ball away. Nico O'Reilly tries to knock it back in. Haaland rises. Touches it down for Phil Foden. To the left wing and Jeremy Doku now. Doku's not been able to create anything since coming on. This is Nico O'Reilly, 10 yards outside the penalty area. To his right-hand side is the City captain, John Stones. News from Stamford Bridge that Chelsea, incredibly, have had a 4th goal of the evening disallowed. They still lead Barcelona 2-0. Ball into the penalty area, looking for Haaland. 2 defenders right beside him. Quansah, who's man-marking Haaland at the moment, got the main touch there, and Leverkusen were able to clear the ball away. But they're not clearing convincingly at the moment. Doku gets it, just outside the penalty area. Strong from Jeremy Doku. Now to Charlie Reinders. Head up, sends in the cross right-footed. Off balance, Aki tries to power it goal-bound, but it's an easy catch for Mark Flecken, and Leverkusen are holding on to their 2-goal lead with 11 and a half minutes of normal time to play here on 5 Live Sports Extra. And Cavani making a run into the penalty area here, but James Trafford gets there first. News coming to us from Stamford Bridge that Chelsea goal that was disallowed in a night when they've had loads of goals disallowed, VAR has overturned that decision. It's going to stand. Liam Delap gets a Champions League goal for Chelsea, and they are beating Barcelona by 3-0. What a run Enzo Maresca's team are on across all competitions at the moment. This is Jeremy Doku, just outside the penalty area for City. Into Riyad Cherki, tries to shoot, good block by Loic Bade. City keep banging on the door here, but Leverkusen continue to keep them out. Cavani holds it up down the other end. Quansah here doesn't do anything risky. Back to Loic Bade. Leverkusen will blast it long. They know they'll lose possession there, but it's just helping the clock run down, and it's forcing Manchester City back. Goals in the first half from Grimaldo, in the second half from Schick. Manchester City 0, Leverkusen 2.
Yeah, they've been good. That was the first wasted pass there because they had the extra one. They've been composed wherever they've got it. The shape has been decent. They've frustrated Manchester City. This is one one more change now from them as they get into the later stages. They've got to really stay with a high level of concentration. They're going to be put under so much pressure.
Stones tried to play it in towards Erling Haaland there. He didn't put enough elevation on it. Doku tries to dribble into the penalty area. Bolasie makes the block of a shot. City again holding on to possession, but they've got 11 men behind the ball to try and break down for a Bayer Leverkusen team still 2 goals in front. Here comes Savinho down the right hand side. Malik Talman does very well, comes in, makes the challenge, gets back possession and clears away. And again, he doesn't have a teammate in an advanced position to play it to, just sends it down the left wing channel, but that allows a breather for the Leverkusen defence, and it allows them to all step up in unison and try and force Manchester City back a little bit here. Leverkusen, by the way, who are preparing to make a change. Another familiar name, Nathan Tella, formerly of Southampton and Burnley, is about to come on.
Yeah, it can be an outlet as well. It's going to be a long time now if they're just sitting this distance.
Doku tries to dribble his way in again. Caffery, who's on a yellow card, might have fouled him there. Referee says play on this time. City still in possession. Nico O'Reilly on the ball just outside the penalty area in the left hand side, but it's taken away from him by Massa, who's worked really hard tonight and makes a deliberate pull on the arm of Nathan Ake. Be surprised if it doesn't come back and give him a yellow card for that. Referee says play on because City is still in possession. Sheik will play it forward. Cherki wins a header for Manchester City. The loose ball falls for Nathan Ake midway inside Leverkusen territory. Left hand side of City come forward. They'll work it to the right hand side. This is Tijani Reinders onto Savinho. Can't play the return pass to Tijani Reinders. Groans from City fans, and Leverkusen regain possession again. They're in their own left full back position, but they're confident now to try and play their way out. Tillman, too confident, gives it away. Rayan Cherki's shot is well off target, and that goes for a goal kick. I wonder, did that deflect off one of his own teammates there? That seemed very off target from Rayan Cherki. Okay, here comes the change, and Christian Caffery, who's on a yellow card. No surprise that he is the player hooked for Leverkusen to allow the introduction of Nathan Tella.
Obvious one, smart management, isn't it? When you've got an outlet like you've already got with Nathan Tella, no risk, fresh legs, because this is going to it's going to feel like an age. When you're sat in there waiting, you're looking up at the clock, you're watching everybody keep coming at you, you get back in your shape, you don't have the ball, concentration levels are key. And for City now, they've just got to keep finding options, keep pushing pressure on. There's plenty of time to get right back into this game.
In the Championship, Swansea City got a late goal back at home against Derby County, but it's just finished there. Swansea City 1, Derby County 2, the final score. And a late goal to tell you about at Norwich, who had been leading Oxford United all evening. But Philip Krastev has scored in the 95th minute. Norwich City 1, Oxford United 1. That one is still playing. Those games which started 15 minutes ahead of this one. Leverkusen again mopping things up on the edge of their own penalty area. Mark Flecken clearing away. Nathan Ake gets it back near the centre circle and tries to propel City on the attack once again. Down goes Rayan Cherki. Now this one is within shooting distance, just outside the D. Surely City have got to have a pop from here. 83 minutes on the clock. Still City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2 on Sports Extra.
He's got such good feet, Rayan Cherki. You can't go near him. Bade just gets tight. And he should know the disappointment was on his face, because he tries to go tight, he tries to put the pressure on, but just outside the penalty area. Don't take the risk, just delay, get back across. But you're itching, aren't you? You're getting tired. They've been defending for some time. The same two players over the top of this ball. Erling Haaland just getting the line of the goalkeeper on the edge of the wall, trying to just create a little bit of sort of diversion, stop the sight of the goalkeeper. You got that one, what do you call it, Connor, behind it, your favourite?
The draft excluder, yeah. There's Alex Garcia's the player lying on the ground to try and prevent anything to slip under the wall. It'll either be the right foot of Cherki, the left foot of Foden. Can City make it an exciting finish here? It's Cherki, and it's saved by Flecken. Good free kick, bent it around the wall, but the Flying Dutchman, Mark Flecken, took off like Superman to punch the ball away there. Great save.
It was a good height, as you said, the Flying Dutchman, but actually it was fitting, wasn't it? But I feel like it was engineered. Good save, made it look even better. It was a decent enough one, but City almost get caught on the counter here. We've got to be really careful the last man doesn't do that, because it's over.
It's another opportunity that has slipped by for Manchester City. You feel at this stage, the chances of scoring 3 here to win the game feel almost non-existent here. One goal could make an exciting finish to see could they get another one to draw. But at the moment, this is about to be a famous victory for Bayer Leverkusen, the first ever meeting of these clubs. Savino tackled on the far side. He's not had much luck tonight, Savino. Been on the left wing in the first half, or the right wing in the second half. Not been able to beat the defender quite the frequency that we're used to seeing from him. As Leverkusen just know they need cool heads now. Nothing silly, and they can bring a famous victory back to Germany. Leverkusen, who have got another English opponent next in the Champions League. They host Newcastle in a couple of weeks. Newcastle, who are trailing tonight in Marseille in the closing stages there, having led from early on. Nico O'Reilly tries to clear the ball away, and it wasn't kept in play by Ernst Poku. That will be a throw into Manchester City, right back in their own left full-back position.
That was tight, wasn't it? You can see that they're going crazy. They're saying it wasn't out of play. Put such a quick counter, Poku down that right-hand side, darting forward. He actually played the wrong pass again. They've done that a couple of times tonight, but the determination, the fight that they're showing.
Here's Massa, right-hand side. Doesn't have any interest in going to the corner flag to try and shield the ball here. He tries to take on Aki to run into the penalty area and loses it. Foden clears up into the midfield. Cherki will take it down and prods it onto Savino. Now maybe an attacking position. Bit of green grass to run into for Savino here. Haaland waiting patiently in the middle, and doesn't it sum up Manchester City's night that Savino stumbles and trips, no opponent near him. He fell over, and the chance is trying to be kept alive by Cherki here. Tries to smuggle in the front post, and Flecken makes a good save. Well, it didn't work out at all for Savino. Cherki did well to try and resurrect something there. He gets a corner.
Yeah, he does it so quick, but again, you can't believe some of the things that are happening here. Cherki very quick, tries to just catch the goalkeeper, wrong-footed off the byline in the near post. Now everybody, again, in that penalty area, direct coming.
Here it comes, corner from Cherki. Haaland ran to the front post, came right at him, but he kind of skipped out of the way. And Bayer Leverkusen are able to clear away, and Pep Guardiola down there is scratching the top of his head, and he's rubbing the back of his neck. Strange team sheet tonight from the great Pep Guardiola. 10 changes for Manchester City. He sort of laid down an agenda. The players who did start seemed a bit lethargic. Felt like it gave a boost to Leverkusen to feel, come on, this is a real chance to beat Manchester City on their own patch. And 2-0 in front. The Germans are almost there. Here comes Jeremy Doku. Tries to run into the penalty area. Won't fall for Haaland. Flecken just allowed it to run in front of his body. That was brave for the goalkeeper, but he knew what he was doing. And then he eventually picks it up by the byline on the left-hand side. City almost out of time. 2.5 minutes of normal time to play. Long clearance from Flecken. Down the pitch, looking for Nathan Tella. Tella, who whenever he's played against City in the past has been on the losing side, be it for Southampton or Burnley in the past. How he'd love to be part of a victory here at the Etihad, having tasted some heavy defeats earlier on in his career. Malik Tillman comes in the attack for Leverkusen, and just holding on to possession now on the left wing. Leverkusen have got City where they want them now. Can they keep them on the rack here for these closing minutes? We'll find out what's going to be added on for stoppages, but it's not going to be anything intense. We've had no big long breaks in play. We haven't had big VAR delays. What's happened here though? A mistake by Bolasie to give it to Erling Haaland of all people. Haaland running at the penalty area, tries to shoot. Doku takes over. His shot is blocked by Loic Bane, and then as Reinders tried to keep it going, he couldn't get a touch. Ryan Cherki couldn't get a touch. It's just not happening for City tonight.
Yeah, it was a poor pass initially. Erling Haaland drives forward onto that left foot, gets his block away, but it's actually Quans who darts right across, flies into the middle and blocks it. Fantastic defending yet again as they just waste time in that corner.
Well, he's obviously not been on the pitch long tonight, Erling Haaland, but is this going to be 2 appearances without a goal for the Norwegian? Something that wouldn't be strange for any mere mortal player, but it's something that hasn't happened all season for Haaland. He hasn't had 2 games in a row, club or country, that he's not found the back of the net. He still has a few minutes here to try and change that, but it feels increasingly unlikely that City are going to change the course of events in terms of the final score here. They are 2-0 down. Even if Haaland was to grab one here, it wouldn't be enough. He'd need at least 2 for a point. Savino's cross, looking for Erling Haaland. Oh, a slip by Poku, and Flecken diving back to his goal mouth prevents it going in for an unorthodox own goal. Poku, who's probably earned that little bit of luck tonight with a good performance, he's completely scuffed his clearance. His feet gave away from under him as he tried to click it away. He thought it was going to go into his own net, and Flecken was able to dive back in the nick of time to save.
That would have been one of the most bizarre own goals you'll ever see. It drops down, it sort of slips, and then his mid-drift takes it past Flecken towards the byline as it's just going to drift past him. the momentum, the pace of the ball come away, and Flecken just gathered it. But I think that would have been something undeserved for that in particular player, because he's done very well. Defended Doku, he's got forward with intent, but that is a shock if you look down at the board, Connor.
There's only 2 minutes to be added on. As we said, there haven't been any stoppages. There's no reason for it to be any more than 2 minutes. Rayan Cherki just outside the penalty area. Well, they're plugging away City, but it's not happening. And another attack is thwarted, and out it goes for a goal kick. So Haaland's season, he didn't score against Spurs, the first home Premier League game of the campaign in August. Then he scored in absolutely everything through to the trip to Villa in late October. He didn't score against Villa. Then he got back in his bike, 2 goals against Bournemouth, scored against Dortmund, scored against Liverpool, scored in both games for Norway over the international break. But having not found the net at Newcastle on Saturday, this is about to be, for the first time this season, 2 appearances in a row for Erling Haaland without a goal. I mean, look, it's not rocket science to say you can't always rely on him to produce it. Someone else occasionally has to step up for Manchester City.
No, he had 3 chances at Newcastle. He's come on the sub here. He's had 3 chances. No, it's not as if he hasn't had an opportunity, but it's not about Erling Haaland tonight.
No.
It's about that first half performance.
And perhaps the team selection. I can't wait to hear what Pep Guardiola's got to say about it later on. Foden goes down to the edge of the penalty area. Tillman's done well in a defensive role today. I mean, a player who's nominally a number 10, an attacking midfielder, but he's dug in for his team tonight and done really well. City are playing some strange passes around the place at the moment. They're really struggling to resurrect a performance. It's almost like the City players know this is not going to be their night.
Yeah, well, the message will be, won't it, from a lot of people, why didn't you play a stronger team, win the game, and then make the changes? That will be what people say. Hindsight's great. It's hard to argue with this manager, and he knows what the players need, what the season entails.
Here comes Savinho running into the penalty area. Down goes Reinders. Flag goes up on the far side, but it's to indicate that Manchester City were offside. So no penalty for Reinders. Free kick to Leverkusen, and they will take their time about this amidst a rapidly emptying Etihad Stadium. So many blue plastic seats now evident. Of course, the Leverkusen fans are going nowhere. They will sing long into the night and celebrate because they have beaten Manchester City. What a smile on the face. What a deserved smile for Kasper Hjulmand. What a job he's done coming in, taking over from the disastrous start to the campaign under Erik ten Hag. Suddenly Leverkusen look to be back to something approaching their Xabi Alonso days form. It is back-to-back Champions League wins for the German team. They're finding their feet again under new coach Hjulmand, but it is back-to-back defeats for Manchester City in all competitions. After defeat at Newcastle on Saturday in the Premier League, City have now lost at home in the Champions League early stages for the first time since 2018. Michael Brown.
I think that tells you everything. Firstly, what an unbelievable record. It has come to an end, everything does. But that team selection, 10 changes, will be the main talking point, which people will be saying, did we really need that many? Did we not take them seriously enough? Do we need to do more in Champions League games? But he made the changes at half-time, he reacted quickly, but maybe a lot of the job was done already. It gave them a massive lift in it, giving them momentum scoring, and from there on they had something to defend. After that second goal, Nathan Ake just got caught as he heads down into that far corner. They tried, they created, but the defence was too really calm and organised, and they played out with real good intentions right through the middle areas and caused City problems slightly on the counter as well. Pep Guardiola will be thinking, is this one missed? Going into our City back, are they going to be entitled decision seasons and winning Champions League back to the best to 2 defeats very quickly?
Well, that's about as flat a Manchester City performance as I can remember for a long, long time. And there's no one else to blame tonight. There's no dodgy VAR decision. There's no red card against them, anything like that. Leverkusen have come. They've taken their chances. They've defended very professionally. And Manchester City, if truth be told, never really looked like getting back into this one tonight. It's going to be very interesting to hear from Pep Guardiola. I'm sure we will do that with Kelly Cates on 5 Live on the podcast, The Football Daily, tomorrow morning as well. But this is a story we haven't heard the last of. Manchester City going through another one of their tricky little phases, back-to-back defeats, as goals from Grimaldo and Schick see this one finish. Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 2.